my community is so deserving of having me in this seat. So I think that's why I won, because I'm the best.
Welcome back to another powerful episode of Her Freedom Project, where we celebrate the journey, the healing, the resilience, and the freedom stories of women who refuse to let life do anything other than define them. Today, we have a woman whose journey shifts the atmosphere when she walks into a room. She is history making. She is community serving. She is justice redefined. She is a survivor in every sense of the word. And she is a living reminder that freedom is not just a destination. It's something you fight for every day. Please help me welcome the first Black elected judge in North Las Vegas, but I feel like it's Las Vegas as a whole. So let's just be clear on that. A champion for fairness, a mother, a leader, a woman who stands unapologetically in her purpose. Judge Belinda T. Harris.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Belinda T. Harris. Now, can I call you Judge? Can I call you Judge Harris?
You can call me Judge. You can call me Judge Harris. I go by my initials, which is BTH. Belinda T. Harris, because that stands for being bold, tough, and honest. So you can call me by my initials as well, however you choose to address me.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Okay, let's kind of jump back into what we was talking about.
Okay.
So I was telling you a little bit about my past, so I'm familiar with the other side of the bench. Y'all know that. That's not funny, but that's my truth, and that was a part of what shaped me for who I am today. But this is my first time ever talking to a judge.
Okay.
Other than in the courtroom.
Okay.
You know?
Yes.
So
yes,
I
do
was
know.
a little bit nervous. Like, I was a little bit like, do I naturally want to have this reverence for you, which after doing my research, I will always have a reverence and respect for you.
Thank you.
Because
Thank you so
of
much.
everything that you've done and how far you've come. So let's just jump back into it.
Okay.
Where did you grow up? Where were you born?
So
Where
I'm
did it
born
all
and raised
start?
in North Las Vegas.
North Las Vegas. Shout out.
Actually, Northtown.
Northtown.
So if you know anything about the Northtown, if you know anything about North Las Vegas, you know there's Northtown and then there's North Las Vegas. So I am from Northtown. And throughout the years, they changed the name to North Las Vegas, but I'm still from the town, right? I'm from the town.
Okay.
And I am from the bottom, is what I call it, where we say the streets are so big you can do donuts on one street. That's how big the streets are down there, right?
Okay.
So I'm born and raised. I am a Nevadan, right? I'm born and raised here in Northtown. That is my community.
How'd you get to Spelman?
Howard. Come on
Howard.
now. Yes,
No, okay,
Howard
I'm
University.
so sorry.
Yeah, because
and
we got
it
a
right
little
there.
problem
See,
with
and
the
that's why
HBCU.
cut
the
Howard,
out.
because it said right there
That's right.
on my teleprompter, and I'm so sorry.
So when
That's
I
my
was
bad.
growing up in North Las Vegas, in the Northtown, it was all black. It was all black and or Hispanic, right? So it was either black or it was the Vadio. It was either the neighborhood or the Vadio, which are both the neighborhoods, right? And so when I was there, I witnessed a lot of injustice. And I did not know, like I had two dear friends who got certified and tried as adults when they were 14. And these were like my partners, right? Like people I was riding bikes with, walking to school with, getting our Slurpees after school, playing tetherball, swimming at the local community pool. These were like my boys, right? And to see that and just the hopelessness of the community and the families and us not really knowing, I did not know if it was because we were a particular economic class, i.e. we were poor, or if it was because we were people with pigmentation because we was black, right? I couldn't really determine it. But I knew that I was going to do something about it. I didn't know what or how or why, but I knew I was going to do something about it. And so as a result of that, I always was involved in like student government and student politics and kind of being an advocate and sticking up. And even though I'm small, I got a slick mouth. Always have had, right? Always have. You can ask people my whole life. They like, yeah, she gonna tell you, right? Even though I'm a petite individual. And so when I was in high school, one of my best friends, her dad was a doctor. And she was going to go to Xavier because that was her what they had put in her. And so my parents are blue collar. My family is either blue collar. I always say they're gonna get it legally or illegally, whichever way it goes. And that's how
Most of our families.
Yes, and so that's how I grew up, right? That's just what it was. And so I watched the movie School Days, and I was like,
That's the one with Tisha Campbell
and Spike Lee.
Okay, yeah,
Yep. And I was like, I'm gonna go to a school like that. And so randomly, I kind of just picked Howard University. I'm like, it's a black school. It's in the capital. That's where politics and laws and policy are happening. And that's where I'm going to go. I applied, went, and my first day actually going to Howard University was my first day of school. I never went, and I had never been on the East Coast.
Okay.
The only places that me and my family were able to travel was like California, Arizona, and in the South. Like I had been to Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, that part, right? And maybe Arizona, California, and Nevada. I had never been on the East Coast at all, or the Great Midwest. I had never been that way at all. And I remember telling my parents I was going to go to Howard University, and my dad in particular being like, well, you can't go there because it's so far away. There's no family. We don't have any money. How are you going to pay for that? And him telling me that he wasn't going to sign the permission slip, and me being like, well, Dad, it's not a field trip. I don't need your permission. I'm going. And kind of took my little belongings that I had at a 17 and a half / 18-year-old, which wasn't much, right? Some sneakers and a few hoodies. And went on my way, and just loved it. Think that all black kids should go to a black school, because there is nothing like when you walk on that campus, you know that you're at home. The only other time I've ever felt that is I've had the privilege of going to the continent a few times. And when I've stepped foot on the continent, you know that you are at home and these are your people. And they are going to understand you and they're going to love on you. And not that it's going to be kumbaya all the time, but that these are your people and that you are at home.
It's so funny because as light as I am, as light-skinned as I am, when we went to Jamaica, it was the first or second time, I felt the difference immediately from going to Jamaica, and I know that ain't the homeland, but from going to Jamaica to Mexico, like it got to a point where, I mean, no offense, I just wanted to I preferred to be in Jamaica.
Absolutely.
Because I also felt like, well, if any other nationality of people wants to be around us, then they're not mistaken. They came here because they don't mind us. Mm-hmm. So we shouldn't have too many problems. Mm-hmm. I'd never experienced that before in any other country,
right,
anywhere else in the world. Unfortunately, I haven't been to the motherland yet, but I'm going.
Yes.
We're going.
Yes. Put it in the atmosphere. A manifestation.
I gotta have it. So, so after you started Howard, what was, because I always wanted to go to a HBCU.
Yes.
And when you were talking about your friends who got locked up and got in trouble at a young age, I was 15 when I got locked up.
Okay.
And I got tried as an adult.
Okay.
And I was sentenced to 60 years in prison. It was 30 and 30. I think it was consecutive.
It definitely was. In the streets, they say running wild.
Okay. Yeah. So running wild.
Yes.
And I was able to get lawyers to take my case at Northwestern University. Okay. And it was so crazy because
I'm from the Innocence Project. What part of Kentucky?
Louisville.
I have a best friend from Louisville, actually.
Really?
She actually now her parents live in Ashland, and she is a federal public defender in Ohio.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm. So I've been to Louisville a bunch of times.
I love Louisville. I usually I love it because my family is there, mm-hmm. but with everything that happened, because my case was so high profile, mm-hmm. and just all the things that happened, I didn't really understand the place as, my home. I just kind of looked at it as somewhere I just didn't want to be anymore, because I wanted a new start.
Absolutely.
Because once I got out, I was a grown woman. I was 27. So I served 13 years, and I had done all that rehabilitation, and the thing that kept going through my mind the most was, I just don't want to go back. like, I just don't want to, like, I know that I can do better, even though, well, the judges changed in my case, and that's what kind of gave me hope, because the judge that was on the case, he was adamant about us serving the time, because an example had to be made, and also those things came into play, and I'm trying not to incriminate myself or
It's
anybody else.
over.
I'm trying to speak where it's just me.
Yes.
Because I don't want to speak for my co-defendants. I just want, I don't
Right.
really have the legal permission
Right.
to speak for them. But for me, it was like, I just want a new start.
Absolutely.
I want a new
Understandable.
start, and I don't want
That's a
people
lot of
to
trauma.
judge me based on, even though I'm working through my trauma. So if I make a mistake along the way
Yes.
in working through my trauma, because I'm
Yes.
15 years old, coming out expected to act and proceed
Yes.
like an almost 30-year-old woman.
Yes.
And that was really hard for me. And I was so embarrassed about my past, I didn't want to reach out for the resources. And now I'm sitting here today like, I'm not beating up that 27-year-old, but I'm like, you could have did a little more to get what you needed instead of struggling to have what you have.
Right.
And I'm learning that and reading your story and getting to know you as not just judge, but just someone who's so embedded in the community. Like, I just feel like where I am on the southwest side of town, there's not those types of resources for us.
Well, I think it goes back to resources are where the people, I don't want to say need them, but where they need them, or where there's a big population of people that need them. And so, so like public school versus private school, that's the example I'll give. In public school, you'll have like job fairs, the ROTC come, things of that nature, right, to help the students prepare for the future. In private school, you don't really have that. And you don't have it because if the parents know to pay for education, the kid is kind of already set on a certain path, right? Yeah. Because their mama and daddy then figured out they're going to start paying for school now. And if they pay for school now, they're going to have this great education, which is going to give them these scores, which is going to be able to put them there. And they have had a little bit of thought process for their children and their future. Not saying that doesn't happen in public school, but a lot of times in public school, you go into the school because that's where your mama and daddy or your auntie or your grandma, whoever you stay with, that's where they live. That is where you are zoned to go.
Right, yep.
And as a result of that, you are in the mix of that community and what it has to offer. And so people are like, hey, we're going to go here with this community because we know those kids, right? And I'm a public school kid. And so I can say
That's
that.
good to hear. That's so good to hear, because I wanted to ask you something.
I am a
after
public
this.
school kid. But like I told you, so when I was starting to go to high school, they built a magnet school here, the first one, Las Vegas Academy. And it's a performing arts school. And I had the privilege of auditioning and getting into the school. But because I lived in the north, I had to be bused, okay? But as I told you when I first started, my best friend was there, one of my best friends. She also went to the school, but she lived in Summerlin. Right?
I'm on a magnet school journey right
Yes.
now with my 8th grader.
Okay.
And she's a performing arts.
Okay, so yes.
Now they have Del Sol.
Yes. So they have Del Sol now, but they only, and the academy now is like top notch, right? It was top notch then, but it was protests and stuff because of the school and people being bused and et cetera, et cetera. But now it's like the best, right? And so I was able to meet one of my best friends there, but she lived in Summerlin. But like I said.
So you did go to LVA?
Yes.
Okay.
I was the first full 4-year graduating class. I went there from freshman to senior year. So when they opened my freshman year, and I was the first full 4-year class to graduate from there.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, like I said, her daddy was a doctor, and so she knew about education. She already knew she was going to Xavier. She knew these things, right? And I was like, well, what is Xavier? I never heard of Xavier. I didn't know any black doctors because my family, like I said, they were hustlers in their own rights, whatever the hustle you want to call it, right? They're hustlers in their own right, but they were not professionals. They were blue collar workers. My dad is a master electrician and my mom was a housewife. and or a porter when she did work, she did maintenance. She was a maid, a porter, right? And so it was wild because she already knew these things. She knew about the LSAT and the ACT and the SAT and all of these things that I just did not know because that was not where it was being bred to me, right? But as a result of me being able to go to the school, of course, I was able to get those resources. So I think that, you get what you get because of where you are. In a sense, public school versus private school, or even driving a certain amounts of cars, right? All the cars get you from point A to point B, but you got some cars with sunroof and the cool seats and the seat warmers and the this and the that and the, you know what I mean? Like,
And then sometimes you just got the base model.
yeah, and then you got the base model. Like, as I have become a more mature adult, I have started getting luxury cars. And the first one I got, it was vibrating every 5 minutes, right? And I done pulled over like, why is this car
doing this?
Yes, and it's because you too close to this, or this is coming on the side, or we giving you this signal, So I think that, people get what they need from where they're at. And if you are living in a certain place, in a certain area with certain things, then, maybe you don't get it all, but you have a lot.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of where we are. We're in a very middle class. We live in Mountain's Edge. So it's like we pay a lot, but you pay a lot for everything you get, whether it's education, you want decent education, you're going to pay for everything a little bit more because they're still building it up. You have SIDS and LIDS and all these HOAs, but I wanted our daughter, she went and visited the jail on a field trip. I think it was more the courthouse. I don't want to say the jail, but she visited, and they're 8th graders. And so she came home, and she's always been a dancer. She had never I've told my children my story, but it's almost like, I don't know, I censor it. I'm kind of helicopter mom, after you've been through what I've been through, there's no fucking way in hell my kids are going to jail. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, I will do anything. I don't care. It's not an option for my children. I will provide them a life that gives them no option.
Right.
I don't care. I'll keep them so busy in sports. It doesn't matter.
Right.
So with this field trip coming up, she was like, I'm a little nervous, Mom. I'm like, what you nervous about? She was like, because I don't know what type of people will be right there. And I looked at her. I said, the type of people that are right here, right now. And it opened up a conversation for me and her, because now as she gets older, I want to tell her my story more. The little ones kind of look at me as a bad guy still. When I talk about it, they're like, what? You went to jail? Ew, yuck.
Yes, yes.
Like, Mom, you're a bad guy. But she's growing up and she's starting to understand. But I was not expecting her to come home and say that she was thinking about going into law. And it kind of shocked me. So for a public school little black girl, what would your advice be from Vegas? Well, now she's got to watch this show because she came home and she's like, Mom.
She got to make sure she likes school.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? I think that people think of the law, especially nowadays with reality TV and all these crime shows and Law and Order, and these things are very popular, and they're popcorn, grasping and teeth biting and scandal and things of that nature. But to be into law, you gotta like school, because I went to school from 5 to 25.
Yeah. Talk about that. That's what they don't talk about.
Yeah, I went to school from 5 to 25, right? Now I had a great time, but I was in school from 5 to 25, and I would come home and, my girlfriends would have dudes and apartments and living their best life and doing this and doing that. And I'm at the library, trying to get a Starbucks dropped off, right? Missing the parties. And then after you do that, you have to take the bar exam.
Let's talk about that bar exam, because hold up, honey. Hold on. Because Kim Kardashian, We gotta help our sister out, okay?
Well, in California, so California is very special with their bar exam.
What tips would you give Kim Kardashian
So
to help
this
her
is-
pass this bar? My God.
I don't you know, the bar exam is hard. It's a very, very hard test. It's, you know, it's timed, it's critical, it's a lot of pressure. It's hard. I know some people who are the smartest of them all who have not been able to pass, right? Who do other things with their Juris Doctorate besides practice law because they cannot pass the bar exam.
Yeah.
You know, it took the Kennedy like 6 times to pass the bar exam.
I read that.
And his parents, you know, they got bread and they done locked them up and got the best tutors and the this. And I mean, it's a hard test.
Yeah.
It's just hard.
And different in every state.
And it's different in every state. And every state doesn't have reciprocity. So then if you move, like when I moved, so I was living on the East Coast for some time. And then when I moved back home, I had to take the Nevada bar. At the time that I took the Nevada bar, I had already been practicing law for 6 years. So I was like,
that's like me taking the state board all over
yes.
again. Oh,
so I was like,
goodness.
yeah, I was like, I was telling myself, like, I'm not going to pass. I'm going to have to figure out something to do because, yeah, but I did pass, thank God. But yeah, it's just hard. That test is not a joke.
So you were at Howard, you graduated. What was that journey like after you passed your bar? Where did you pass your bar at Howard?
No, yes and no. So I went to Howard University for undergrad. For law school, I went to American University, which is also in DC. And then that's 3 years. And then from there, I came home for about a year and a half. My mom has health issues, so I came home for about a year and a half. I knew when I was in law school that I was going to be a public defender. I knew that. Even though I'm from the neighborhood and public defenders have a terrible reputation.
But shout out to the public defenders, though, because a lot of people don't know, like, how hard their job is. Like,
and a lot of people
real.
don't know that they're the best of the best. They're like ER doctors. Like, if you get shot, you want to go to UMC because they deal in trauma. If you have a serious trauma case or something's going on, you want the public defender. Now, caveat. They ain't all great, okay? Like,
true that.
Everything is not always rainbows and unicorns because there are people, and just like in everything else, you got the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I will say the majority of them are there because they want to be. And while some people, I know a good friend of mine who's a public defender, right? He hates the clients. He does. He hates the clients. But he's competitive, and he's not going to lose.
He loves the fight. Okay,
so
then.
if you get him, he might not be have the best bedside manner with you, but trust and believe he gonna get them people hell, and you probably are going to walk, right?
And you're probably gonna walk.
Yeah, but he probably is not gonna be holding your hand and calling you every 5 minutes and talking to the family in the hall because he's like, I'm not, no, but. He is there.
Studying.
Yeah, he's ready to rumble at any given point, and you probably are going to walk, right? And people are like, but he didn't call me back, and he was me. And I'm like, but you're here telling me that.
Yeah, you're right here telling me that. And he's somewhere preparing for another case.
Yeah, right? But because he doesn't, you know, and everybody has their own motive, but at the end of the day, they're there because they want to be, because it's a thankless, challenging job. Nobody ever calls the public defender like, thank you, you saved my life. Nobody ever does that, right? Very rarely do they do that. So I knew I was going to be a public defender because of my experiences as a child, even though I know in the neighborhood that's not an honorable title. Right? I know that people, you know, and I'll scrap. If
it's
somebody
like now when my son's like, I want to be a policeman when I grow up, and my family's like, huh? What?
Yeah.
Professional, but not professional.
Right. Yeah. You know, so I knew that. So I knew I was going to be a public defender. However, I was only going to be a public defender in one of the top 5 offices in the nation, is what I told myself. And at the time, this is like early 2000s, it was Chicago, Cook County, San Fran, Philadelphia, DC, and Miami-Dade County. And in Miami, I couldn't hack it because most of the clients were Spanish speaking. and my Spanish is decent, but it was not to my satisfaction. So I worked down there for like a week, and you have to be with an interpreter all the time. And I was getting into it with the interpreter because I didn't feel like they were like conveying my passion and my tenacity and what we was gonna do. So I couldn't go there. Cook County, I could not do those winters. The hawk got me. I couldn't do it, right? Even though
the winters,
the
hawk. What you know about the hawk?
and
Oh
that's
my
what I
God.
don't want to know nothing about it.
Oh my
So-
goodness. Oh my goodness.
You know-
I did my time in Indianapolis,
Oh,
so
you know,
we get all that cold air.
in itself is commendable, right? That in itself is
So
commendable.
cold.
So I knew, I was like, I'm not, you know, I'm not gonna be able to do that. And then it was San Fran, DC, or Philadelphia. So I took the Pennsylvania bar because Pennsylvania is the oldest bar of our nation, right? Independence, our founding fathers. That's where it all went down. So Pennsylvania is the oldest bar, and they have reciprocity, meaning if you pass the bar, you can go to 35 other states. So I decided to take Pennsylvania bar. I passed. I was a public defender in Pennsylvania at the PD's office in Philly for 6 years.
okay. All right. Philly.
Yes. In Philadelphia for 6 years. And from there, then I came back home. And like I said, I had to take the bar, and then I became a public defender here in Clark County. And I did that for 9 years. Yeah, about 9 years. And then I decided to run for judge and put my name on the ballot. And that's how I got to be Judge Harris.
That is so cool. I love that. Just walking through that journey, and then just going all over those different places. It made so much sense about the Miami situation. That makes so much sense because I knew immediately it was because of the language barrier.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was like, I
Yeah.
figured that would.
And you have to be with an interpreter all the time. Yeah, and it is. And, you know, I guess my Spanish could have gotten a little better, and I could have given myself a little more grace and time. But, you know, those are people's lives, and you don't want the time to be on them.
Yeah. Or it to be on you.
Right.
Or their time to be on your,
Exactly.
on your conscience. Another thing I wanted to ask you about, because I didn't get a chance to ask you if it was okay to talk about it, but some research I did told me that you are a survivor.
Oh, yeah. Everybody knows.
Can
It's
we
not a
talk
secret.
about that?
No, I would lift up my chest.
Oh,
my shirt. I show
okay.
people my chest all the time. Yes, we can talk about it.
Yes. A survivor to the fullest.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people look at judges almost like celebrities, like they're unattainable, they're untouchable, they're not normal, they don't have problems.
Correct.
But when I read that about you, I was like, what?
Yes, I'm very open because what you're saying is very true. And I tell people all the time, my favorite book in the Bible, I'm a Christian, right? Not pushing religion, but I'm a Christian. And my favorite book in the Bible is Philippians. And Philippians is written by Paul, a.k.a. Saul, right? And, you know, Saul was the killer of all of the Christians, right? He was massacring them. And the reason that's my favorite book is because he says, you know, now that I'm on this side, I am not perfect, but I am striving for perfection, right? And so that is because people do that. And I tell people all the time, I'm not perfect. I'm striving for perfection. And don't hold me to a standard of perfection because, you know, don't rob me of my humanity.
Right.
Because I got the same issues and problems that everybody else has, right?
Yep.
And yes, I did. I got diagnosed in my 30s. I had I had the works. I had a double mastectomy. I had radiation. I had implants. Recently, I had a terrible infection with one of my between my radiated skin and my implant, and just scar tissue. It was like the perfect storm. I had an infection, not knowing I had an infection, just thinking I was super tired because, you know, us black women, we superheroes. Ended up in the hospital.
We just need a nap.
Thinking
We
that.
just need a nap.
Ended up in the hospital. Ended up having to have a 15-hour surgery
Wow.
Because I let them take my stomach to make breasts because I didn't want to get implants again, and I just
Right.
didn't want to be flat because my chest had caved in,
Right.
like a whole right. Which caused me to gain all this weight, and I've always been a petite person and a gym rat, to which brought on the why are you so fat? Are you pregnant? What's going on?
Right.
Because people just ask,
Yeah.
So yes, definitely has been a journey. Definitely have survived it.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. A survivor for real.
Yes.
When I read that, I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Double. So was it like, did they find it all at once and it was just like
So
one surgery or
yes,
multiple?
no, it was multiple.
Okay.
It was so in 20 from 23 to 24 alone, I probably had something like 6 or 7 procedures
Okay.
alone in just those 2 years. Yeah, so no, I had a lump in my right breast. So this is like it's a funny joke. It's not a joke, but it's funny. So I had a lump in my chest. I was in my 30s, and I went to ask to get a mammogram, and insurances, and they say you don't need to do it until you're at least 40, especially if you have no history.
All right, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with something that's more than just inspiration. It's implementation. I've created the 30-Day Freedom Blueprint Journal for anyone ready to stop sitting on their goals and start taking daily action. This journal walks you through 30 days of real self-work, clarity, consistency, confidence, all the things you need. It's the same process I use to rebuild my mindset, my business, and my peace. So if you're tired of waiting for the perfect moment, this is it. Grab your copy, start today, and tag me in your journey using hashtag Freedom Blueprint 30, and we can grow together. You can click the link in the description. Let's make these next 30 days the most intentional days of your year, one page at a time. Thanks, guys. See you in the next episode.
And so the doctor told me no. And as a result of him telling me no, I was like, oh no, now I'm getting it. And so I fought for myself and advocated for myself and was able to get it. And my running joke is I've only ever had one and done mammogram. Because in the mammogram, they seen it was in my right breast. It was only in one breast, but because it was in my breast and, I'm kind of aggressive, I'm like, just take them.
Take them. Oh, so you decide, yeah. And you know what, honestly, I always thought that too. I'm like, if that ever happened, to me, because I feel like all women think about it, and if you don't, I don't know what goes through your head. Because as a woman, I'm just like, what would I do in that situation? Because you also meet so many women that have dealt with it and survived it and overcame it.
And yeah, and there's a lot of women who don't want to, quote unquote, mutilate their bodies, right?
Yeah.
Or there's a lot of women who are in relationships who are like, this is what he likes.
I've talked to women who have harvested nipples on their waistline.
Yep.
I've talked to women,
Yep.
I've talked to all types of
Yep.
women.
Yep.
And you can't help but to kind of wonder, like, what would I do in that situation? How would I handle it? Like, what? I just think normally and humanely, we all kind of just process it in our mind like, damn, 6 to 7 surgeries in a matter of that short time.
And the bills don't stop. Responsibilities still don't stop. You still have to work. You still have to show up. You still have to, like I said, I care for my parents. They still need what they need.
Now, the research didn't tell me that part, but it did tell me that you were still working through going through that process in your life.
Yes.
And man, I'm so proud of you. Like, I never in my life thought that I would have the chance to tell a judge, an honorable judge, somebody that, first of all, I've never been in a position to even look up to a judge other than the judges that were fighting for me. Because what happened with my case is my prosecutor, he didn't want to let us out. He was like, nope, built my career on this. The community needs me to keep them in there, and that's just what it is. But so the NAACP fought for us. The ACLU. Yes, they fought for us. And then what happened was, I don't know how the judge got put off our case, but he got relieved from our case, and then another judge came on to our case. Mm-hmm. Well, she so happened to be my PCR attorney.
Okay.
So my post-conviction relief attorney.
Yep.
So it was a conflict of interest. somehow she was able to recuse herself and appoint another judge.
Yep.
So when that happened, that was where the fire started. The prosecutor and the judge and my attorneys, which only 2 of my attorneys were actual attorneys and the rest were students at Northwest University. So just shout out to all the lawyers, the students, oh my God, like that was a 4-year journey of them getting us out. 4-year journey of them getting us out. And because it was a robbery case and no one lost their life. However, there was injury involved. So it was like, it was a very thin line of, you know, they're not good for our community, and a very thin line of they were just kids. And I feel like now looking back as an adult, I do feel like the law didn't have my back.
Yeah, it probably was
And I know
excessive.
it's not, the law wasn't built to have my particular back as a
Correct.
black woman.
Correct.
But in that situation, as a grown woman, I'm looking back at the little girl, how scared I was, for one, how the adults in the situation, their career was more important than any level of rehabilitation that could have happened in those early phases of me catching my case.
Was this in the early 90s? So you remember in the early 90s, I don't know if you're familiar with Brian Stevenson? Okay, so suggestion, you should get a Brian Stevenson. You can watch YouTube or Google him or whatever. And he also has a book called Just Mercy that I would suggest you read. But I don't know if you recall, but in the early 90s, it was that whole war. It was particularly a war on drugs. But as a result of that, it was deeming, in particularly black children, gender neutral. They didn't say men or women, right? Because of the socioeconomic standard or how people were growing up as predators.
Okay.
Right? And as a result of that, in numerous jurisdictions across the judiciary, when black children became before, they were looked upon as predators, right? Which you cannot rehabilitate a predator.
Okay. Yep.
Right? So, not justifying
No, the fact
what
that
happened.
you said that.
That's
No,
what I'm
because I
saying.
remember something very specific in the when they were waiving us to adult court. Now we might have to come back for a part 2
Okay.
with Judge Belinda, because it's starting to get real now. Okay, it's starting to get real and it's starting to get personal, because I got some questions, you know. But I remember them saying, while we were in the courtroom and they were deciding on if they were going to waive us to adult court, they were saying they're unable to be rehabilitated. So the fact that you said that makes me want to punch air right now, because that stuck with me as a kid my whole time. And I was like, they made that shit up. I can be rehabilitated. So that became my obsession, was rehabilitating myself. Ooh, this is good. Okay, y'all. We're going to cut it short. We got to go. We ran out of time, but we are going to come back. Will you come back
Yes, I
and
will.
finish our show
Yes,
for a
we
part
will.
2?
Yes,
Thank you
we
so
will.
much. We don't know when, but it's going to happen, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to go over to Her Freedom Project podcast website. Grab your free blueprint journal, 30 days. We're going to do it together. So we'll see you on the next podcast. Peace.